I'm Jamie.
And I'm Kim.
And this here's the wildest vlog in the wilderness. When we last left you, we were in Fantasyland in Disneyland, and that's where we stayed because we next headed to the Matterhorn. That has been a lifetime mountain for me. I've always wanted to ride the Matterhorn, grew up hearing about it from my dad who went there, and it just sounded like the coolest thing, and it was.
It was a little jerky.
Mm-hmm.
I think I banged my ankle at one point when I don't know how I was sitting, but it kind of like throws you around a little bit. It's a little jerky, but
it was
very
so cool.
fun.
An original mountain was awesome.
And an original,
And there were a couple things that really surprised me on the Matterhorn. Number one was the inclusion of the Yeti. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And that Yeti works.
Yeah.
Sorry, Everest.
Yeah.
And two, I had no idea that there was a point when the cars went through water, which I thought was a really neat thing.
That was really cool.
I love the water feature.
So after our encounter with the Yeti, we headed over to the Storybook Land canal boats. Now this was something I really knew nothing about until we were reading a guidebook right before we went on our trip, and someone recommended you do it in the morning when Fantasyland isn't packed and just ride the canal boats and it's a great view. And yeah, I had no idea it was there until I read about it, and it just became a must-do immediately. I thought it was the coolest sounding thing. And it didn't disappoint. It was really, really cute. Just a fantastic attraction.
It's a slow loading attraction because there's only so many people that can go in each small boat, and there's only so many boats, which is, I'm sure, why they recommend going early, which I would definitely agree with. But it is a really cute attraction, and a great attention to detail, and it's just a nice way to spend a couple minutes off your feet.
Yeah, it's relaxing, little nice boat ride. And I mean, all the models that they have of all the storybook lands are really cute. So, highly recommend.
Yeah, so
it's a really nice attraction.
We'll actually show you the majority of that one right now.
Now, most people go through stories through pages of a book, maybe with some pixie dust, or maybe following a white rabbit down the rabbit hole. We're gonna go a little unconventional through the mouth of a whale. There we go. But don't worry, this is just Monstro. He's turned over a new fin, and he's just transporting us into the magical land of Storybook Land. Now, like all stories, we're going to start ours with a once upon a time. There was a big bad wolf who was always after the three little pigs. He lived in a cave coming up there on our left. But don't worry, those pigs are safe across the way, and their house is made of straw, sticks, and wolf-proof brick. Now our story is going to take a strange turn, first home to Alice, where on one golden afternoon, she followed the white rabbit down the rabbit hole and fell down, down, and you guessed it, down into Neverland, and things just got curiouser and curiouser from there. Now, Storybook Land is inspired by a lot of magical places, such as London Park here on our right, where Peter Pan took Wendy, Michael, and John Darling on their first flight to Neverland, and with a little help from Tinkerbell and her pixie dust, they would never, ever have to grow up. Another magical place is that right up ahead, the city of Agrabah, where a stray rat named Aladdin stole the heart of Princess Jasmine, and thanks to Genie and his magic, they were able to marry and live happily ever after right on top of the hill. Now, one thing Storybook Land is never short on, folks, is love. As you see the twinkling lights and roses right up ahead, where Aladdin and Jasmine soared over sideways and under on a magic carpet ride to a whole new world. Now, while a lot of our stories are filled in love and light, they're also filled with places that are a little dark as well. But such as the Cave of Wonders coming up, rumor has it that the Genie of the Lamp can remove any curse, but also, if set free, he'll grant 3 wishes. Let's close our eyes and see what wish comes true. Speaking of wishes, Snow White had a wish to escape the evil queen, taking refuge with the 7 dwarfs who thanked her for her kindness. They whistled while they worked in their mine while she stayed in the cottage. Like Snow White, Cinderella also had a wish, and that was to go to the ball, but she couldn't because of her evil stepmother wouldn't allow it. But thanks to her fairy godmother, she was able to go under the rule that she be home by midnight. As you can see by that pumpkin carriage, she didn't quite make it. But don't worry, while magic has its limits, love does not. And she now lives in the castle right up on the hill with her Prince Charming. Now, Storybook Land has a lot of wishes, but it also has a lot of dreams, like dreams on sleeping on fields of flowers, like the ones here on our left, inspired by the 1933 Silly Symphony cartoon, Lullaby Land. Now, Tinkerbell has helped us out once again and sprinkled all these plants with pixie dust so they will always remain miniature and never ever have to grow old. It's things like this that made it a favorite place of master storyteller Walt Disney, because it inspired him and future storytellers to keep on telling their stories. Stories like Wind in the Willows, The Adventures of Mole, Rat, and Mr. J. Thaddeus Toad, or as we like to call him, Mr. Toad. As you can see in his stately manner coming up on our left, he's unfortunately not home right now, though. He's on a wild car ride to nowhere in particular. And just ahead that is the city of Arendelle, where with Elsa's snow house right up in the mountains, where Anna and Elsa discovered a magic more powerful than Elsa's, the power of love. And in the Alpine village ahead lived a woodcarver named Geppetto, who wished for his puppet to become a real boy, and thanks to the blue fairy, that was able to come true when Pinocchio saved him from the belly of Monstro. Now hold on real quick, we're going to put a bookmark in our story real quick as we wait for Tinkerbell to come right up on the shore here. Our last wish for today is that of a little mermaid named Ariel, who wished to become a part of our world and gain her land legs and follow her Prince Eric up on the land in his castle on our right. So she started under the sea with her father King Triton in the city of Atlantica. So like all stories goes, hers ended with a happily ever after.
So then we hit up an iconic attraction. It's a Small World, the original.
Mm-hmm. It was so cool to see, Mary Blair's original work. I mean, that was awesome.
Just the outside of it, the facade is like amazing.
And it's very different from Small World in Florida in that there's a whole outside portion of the boat ride. Yeah. You go around some animal topiaries and everything before you actually head inside where you see all of the dolls. And there were a lot of them that were themed off of recent Disney movies, which I thought was a really nice touch. But it was really neat. We really liked it. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Surveillez les enfants. Merci. Bienvenidos. Para su seguridad, permanezcan en contacto las manos, brazos, pies y piernas dentro del barco. Y cuídense. Welcome to It's a Small World. For your safety, please remain seated throughout your voyage, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the boat. And please watch your children. ようこそ。お客様の安全のため、乗船中は船から手や手を足を出さないでください。
To Tomorrowland.
Yes.
Where everything is Star Wars in Disneyland.
Yes, everything is Star Wars and nothing hurts. Yeah, it was a really cool vibe actually. We enjoyed it a lot.
It's cool to see the March of the First Order in the middle of the park. So we'll get to that later. But
we'll come back to the March of the First Order,
right.
Yes.
So we actually went on Space Mountain, which currently in Disneyland is rethemed to Hyperspace Mountain. I went in thinking that the re-theme was basically in name and maybe some music or something, but it was actually a fairly complete re-theme. It was really neat the way that they did everything. They had projections on the inside of different fighter ships from Star Wars, and it's audio the whole time, and it's like that iconic Star Wars track playing the whole time.
You're leading / part of a rebel attack, so it's very, very cool. And like Jamie said, we were pleasantly surprised. We thought, how much could they have really re-themed this? And then the entire thing was totally re-themed to a whole Star Wars story. Like she said, the iconic music and the projections, and it was just, it was amazing. It was so much fun.
Also different from our Space Mountain because the cars are you sit 2 by 2.
Yes.
Versus in Disney World, it's
one
single
by
seating.
one, yeah.
So that was different but cool. No, we didn't actually video anything inside of Hyperspace Mountain because it was very dark. So we don't have anything to share on that front. But we do have plenty to share with you next week when we are going to hit some other iconic mountains.
Maybe all of the mountains,
perhaps.
The remaining mountains.
Perhaps we'll see all of them.
Yes.
And then we will perhaps be having a jolly holiday for lunch.
Yes. So until then,
bye.